I think that's spot on. I heard a founder one time say product market fit is one of those things, if you keep asking yourself if you have it, you don't yet.
Yes, that's
And when you
right.
do, you're like, boy, this is really like, this is moving. So I think that's well framed. One of the things I wanted to ask you a little bit about is, you've done some startup advising and you mentor students that are entering the workforce. I think when we talk about innovation, we sometimes always think about these sort of digital first companies, like the disruptive companies. But there's a lot of companies that are more traditional companies, been around a long time, right? Built their business before the world was digital. But they need to go out now and develop new products and sort of reinvent their current products in the marketplace. So what advice do you give to folks that are either in those roles or thinking about taking one of those roles as they leave HBS, where they're thinking about entering a company that's kind of going more through digital transformation than sort
Right.
of starting off digitally native?
Right. And so first advice I would give is don't do technology for the sake of technology, right? Look for the problem to solve. And again, whether you're a new company or you're a legacy company, when you think we have to do something digitally, okay, well, what's the problem that needs to be solved? And less about we can do cool things with AI or machine learning or what good for you. But much more important is what lights are going to go on for your customers that they're going to say, like, you finally are solving this pain point for me, right? And then the second piece is go out there and, again, not just talk to them, but experiment, right? This mindset of interviewing versus experimenting is a mistake I see way too often. Again, whether you're a legacy company or whether you're a new company, go try things. Go find your early adopters. If you're a legacy company, you have customers. You probably have a lot of loyal customers. So go figure out who can be your early adopters or perhaps pilot things with you and try things with you and really understand the pain points. Again, not to just provide technology, but to really understand how you can be more helpful in a digital world. Creating an app just for the sake of creating an app, say a mobile app that's going to complement something that you've already been offering on a website, or again, trying to do something creative with AI or machine learning, is it going to register as something that's useful for your customers? And again, iterating over and over again to understand it, not going out once, talking to 3 customers and coming back and saying, now we know what to build. No, you don't, right? You've really got to iterate on that. So I think it's my biggest advice is just get out there. There's this sense that startups are supposed to be the ones that are scrappy. And I guess that's the last point I'll put on this is later stage companies. I was at VMware, we were massive near the end of my time there after 8.5 years. And we were still going out and doing super scrappy things with our newer technology, right? We were coming out with a solution for mobile phones before iPhone existed. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to get carriers to adopt what we wanted to do, putting virtual machines on mobile devices back when most people had Blackberries. But we knew it was coming. And we didn't just go and talk to the carriers. We actually started to find early adopters or companies that might be thinking about how their employees might put virtual machines on their phones by creating very, very scrappy MVPs and just asking a few employees at these big old companies to just do it. That was scrappy. And we were essentially a legacy company at that point. Maybe not, but close enough. We were big enough and mature enough that was kind of crazy for us to do. But we had the space and the freedom to do it. So I guess that's the other piece of this is legacy companies need to carve out time to really do this right, and people and resources and protect it. Running innovation both at VMware and it's part of my job as a VP of engineering at Akamai was doing these carve outs and actually finding teams of people who, not just the smartest in the room or the PhDs, but a nice cross section of folks on your team to really have protected time to go explore these things, or you're never going to get there. And if they're seen as an extra, that if we have to do budget cuts, especially in these times, those are the first things to go, you're never going to move your business forward. And so they should be as valued as the activities that you're doing for your core business.
Yeah, I think that's really insightful. I think the idea that you can be scrappy even at a big company and listen to your customers, that's the other thing. You're right. I mean, it's funny how you end up with one set of customers and then you get nervous that they're going to go somewhere else to this sort of digital disruptor. And I'm amazed how many companies just don't take the time to go talk to that customer. Like, what's interesting about the digital part of this disruptor?
Right.
And maybe putting that on our platform, but again, not for the sake of technology, to your point, could be so powerful. I'll tell you a funny story. I met someone who was hired into a large bank, and they came out of the digital first world. They were so excited. They told me that this bank had hired them, and one of their big goals was to drive their daily active users. And I just remember thinking, I don't know that I want to use my bank app every single day. Like, I'm not really sure that that's a goal.
Yes.
Like, you should be, sort of an interesting mindset of like, not really thinking about their customers, just thinking, that they had heard that this was something they should go do. And so I really like your advice of sort of don't just pick technology, just don't do the things you think you're supposed to go do. Like, really go talk to some customers and be scrappy about it. It's really powerful.
Yeah, and on that point too, I want to mention that the metrics to measure, to your point exactly, of what says success for this thing that we're about to do, right? So the example I'll use is like open table. You don't want people in there all day every day, right? And measuring in and out is really important, right? I want someone to be able to get in, make a reservation, and get the heck out, right? And you could say for a banking app, it could be I want someone to be able to deposit their check, take a photo of it, and get out. It's not how long they're in there and how active they're in there, right? Transactionally, short time is actually better than like maybe a social app where no, then I want them in there all day, right? So I see that mistake
Yep.
often of like what does success look like in this particular level of engagement.